Hello, sisters. Welcome to Rising Feminine Online Temple, which is a 7 days initiation for a woman to journey back to her true essence. I am Jonita D'Souza, your feminine lifestylist and the keeper of this online temple, where I have gathered visionaries from around the world to join forces to initiate you in your authentic feminine. And a big part of my work with women as a feminine lifestylist is to invite them into indulging into everyday rituals. So, in this very moment, I invite you to create a safe, sacred space for you to receive today's offering because today's offering is an amazing one with guest Rachel Gedney. Let me tell you a little bit about her and then we're going to dive into today's conversation. Rachel is the wisdom mentor and number three of four sisters, has guided countless females and males in their pursuit in calling their life partner. Initially for fun and now as part of her work under her company House of Feminine. Her natural gift as wise mentor and confidant with psychology studies under her belt, along with her own experiences of relationships, marriage, divorce, abuse, toxic relationship, healing to end the pattern, and finally begin reunited with her twin in a soul to soul connection completely aligned, has enabled her to translate this into a step by step strategy for her clients. This strategy, when followed, brings the partner and relationship you desire into being. Sometimes it brings a lot more than you have ever imagined possible. So I'm very glad to have Rachel here in. Welcome, Rachel.
Thank you very much, Janita, for that. And thank you for allowing me to be here. I'm really honoured. I just want to say, first of all, that although I have strategies for people and they do work, what I do know is, as in this wonderful human experience, strategies as such have a variation on the theme. So I'm very much one for, if it works for you, it can't be wrong. I hear people saying, no, you must do this, and it's like, well, actually, no, that probably wouldn't work for me or for somebody else. So within what I'm saying, there are going to be variations on the theme. So that's where we are.
Awesome, Rachel. Before we jumped into our conversation today, before I got into this recording, I did pull up a goddess card just to tune in because it's an online temple and I cannot do without a goddess card. And this is what came out.
Mother Earth.
Mother Earth.
Oh, wow.
And she's an African goddess, and I just wanted to...
Oh my goodness. Oh, you are. Oh, wow. That is incredible. Do you know, that is so powerful because some of my work on the abolishing human trafficking, I actually thought many years ago I'd be working in Africa, which is that coming up now, and Mother Earth, and that is how I've always felt. I mean, my role as a mother is the most important thing for me in life, and nothing else can top that. Whatever goes on in my life, being a mother is so important. So that Mother Earth, I am connected to the earth in that way. So that is just amazing. Wow, thank you.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. I saw this card and I was like, wow, I can so see you and the connection of this goddess, and I was like, okay, I have to show this to you.
That is really, really super powerful. Thank you. Oh gosh, you have to do a photo of it and send it to me. So
yes, I will. I will after this. And it's interesting. I was when I took this card out, and I could see you and this goddess, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna ask you the resonance. And before even I could ask you, you just you just went on.
That, as soon as I saw it, it was like, oh my gosh, that is incredible. That is really incredible. Oddly enough, my father worked in Nigeria as well, so there is that connection with Africa, which is amazing. Okay, so where do you want me to begin?
All right. So, Rachel, first of all, we would like to know, how did you got initiated into this work that you are doing?
Oh,
where did your story come from?
Well, I always say we have many stories that make up our complete narrative, which we do. We've all got them, and especially females, lots of stories. But on this particular one, oh my gosh, what has now blossomed into the divine feminine, the relationships, sensuality, and sexuality really began in my school days, which for me, I was the confidant for my friends, and particularly boys. They would come and talk to me about their problems, and usually about relationships. And they'd ask my advice. They wouldn't just be coming to talk to me so that I would listen to them. They would ask my advice. And I mean, it was like I was always known as wise beyond my years. Where I get it from, well, it's my mother, actually. So, we discussed their relationships and things, and it was funny because I didn't have a boyfriend at school, and it was like, why do you all want to go out with all the other girls and not me, kind of thing. Years later, they said, the reason we didn't choose you is because you were the one we wanted to take home to meet our mother. So it was like, oh, okay, I get that now. So I did have a boyfriend towards the end of my school years, but, mostly, the ones I wanted to date, they all wanted to date my best friends, kind of thing, but they'd come to me for advice. And my teachers were going, counsellor, psychologist, therapist, because it is my natural born gift. And I was going, sport, sport. So I wasn't really that interested. It was like, yeah, it's my natural gift, but I don't want to do this as a career. Interestingly, even in sport, psychology side of it, which I'd already studied as well, in just general psychology, but the psychology of sport really came through strong in me, and people had come to me for advice around sport, health and fitness. So, I am a natural mentor, and it doesn't matter whatever test I take, psychometric test or whatever, it always comes out as mentor, counsellor, therapist, kind of thing, always. And I've done lots over the years. So this confidant thing followed me around. It just follows me wherever I go. And, people naturally sit, and friends of mine and even professionals have said, you get this, you should do it as a career. Right through my life, that I've had this said to me so many times, especially from professionals who have said, this is your natural gift, you should do it as a career. But my own experience with relationships, I mean, with a divorce under my belt, married young, divorced young, had my own child, then, 2 other relationships that didn't go well. And then I found myself in a dangerously toxic relationship, verbally abusive. And, I just thought, how can if I can't get my relationship right, how can I teach this to others? And yet people were still coming to me for help and advice. I wasn't charging for it. It was just, like friends or people I would meet just randomly and start talking about their relationships with me. It would happen on a bus, in a queue, you name it. They'd open up to me, especially men, interestingly, especially men. So I felt underqualified for this, and so I'd done some studying, and I actually then went into some healing. I realized that I actually needed some help to get out of this toxic relationship, and I knew I had a pattern as well that I wanted to end. So I did the inner work. I forgave my father because a lot of it came back to him. I forgave my ex-husband. I forgave the men. I had, by the way, in this time, also attracted a soulmate, and he was a lovely man. The timing was completely wrong, which was a shame. But, so I have attracted the right type as well. But I realized I had to go through all that I've gone through and experience all these different types of things in order to be able to help others, and to then turn it into a paying offering, if you like, because it's just been like hitting me in the face all these years, and I've not really listened to it. And then it came to a point where I thought, there is a reason for all of this. There's a reason, and clearly I've got to start teaching it. I think for me, one of the turning points was, although I've studied it and I'd experienced it, and also by talking to friends of mine who had also been in in and out of marriages or relationships, etc. So I was gathering all this information. But the turning point for me was when I entered, in 2014, entered the Pleasure Tribe, which is Red Tent Revival.
Yeah.
And it was a 6 months membership into the Pleasure Tribe. So we went deeper into everything that we were learning. And for me, it was like I was finishing off, maybe because I was older, so I'd experienced more, and I'd been doing quite a lot of these things without really realizing they were just me. But I had done so many of these. So it was like finishing off quite a lot of things. So, I mean, I just continued with the inner work. And then at the end of the Pleasure Tribe, I got crystal clear, because we did cover relationships, sensuality, sexuality, the whole lot. We went right through the whole thing. And I suddenly got super clear on the kind of man I wanted in my life, crystal clear. And it was like this, suddenly this inner beam of light was shining out. It was emanating in me and shining out into the world. So I didn't really have to go out and do anything, i.e. join clubs or anything. I just carried on with my own life doing stuff, but I'd got super, super clear the kind of man I wanted in my life, and I wrote it down. And I'll go through that a bit later as how to do it. And that was the following year, I actually attracted my twin flame, or it's a soul-to-soul connection. The term is shifting, and the type of thing is constantly shifting. So although I'm going to use the word twin flame or twin soul, it's actually a soul-to-soul connection. It's a heart and soul, but it is soul-to-soul. And we both just realized that we'd found home. It was just phenomenal, right? The connection was 100% aligned. It was intellectually, emotionally, spiritually, sexually, professionally, completely aligned. And we knew right at the beginning there was something unique about this, something like we'd never experienced in our whole lives. Like I said, I'd had soulmates, and it is like looking in the mirror. It is absolutely incredible. It is just like looking in the mirror. The telepathy and this feeling that they're with you all the time it takes some getting used to. And one of my best friends is in fact a twin. She has a twin sister. And so when I'm talking to her and say, she gets this when I'm saying it, because it is just like having a twin. You know, it is a twin. So when one is going through something, so is the other. It might not be the same thing, but you find that you're both experiencing something at the same time. So it is very, very interesting, and does take some getting used to, and just that feeling of never being apart. Even if you are apart, you're never apart. It's very interesting. But I was quite freaked out, if you like, by it, because it was so intense and so everything I'd asked for. It was almost like, I can't believe I've actually got this. So all last year I went on literally a year-long exploration to find out exactly what it was, because prior to this happening, I had no idea there was such a thing as a twin flame or twin soul. None whatsoever. I knew about soulmates, but I had no idea about this. So I had to literally go find out and research it. And I did, and I dug deep. And there is some absolute rubbish out there, but there is also some really, really good stuff too. So now, and I suddenly realized I had to have this experience as well. Yeah. I had to call this in because it is important for me in my work, and to be able to go out there and now offer it to paying clients, and not just as a friend talking about it anymore. So really that's my experience of it.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I know we've spoken about this in the past few times, like as you are going through this journey, and I've seen you, like really enriching yourself into this and through the thick and the thin. And I would be interested to know, and I'm sure the women watching, that how can they begin to start to call in the partner or the life partner that they
that they
desire.
want. Okay. Shall we begin then?
Let's begin.
I've got my notes because there is so much information. And if I don't make notes, I will go, because we are life stories, and especially as women, everything is intertwined.
Yeah.
So it's hard because one thing might lead to another, and it's easy to go off on
You can easily get carried away, and this talk can be like for 2 hours.
Yeah, it could, yeah, very easy, because it can go into lead into one too. So I've been strict with myself and written, so if I'm looking down at things, so you'll know what I'm doing. So, I mean, firstly, this is calling in your life partner. I've chosen not to call in your soulmate or call in your twin flame or anything like that. No labels at all. It's calling your life partner. Because, dear beauties, the first thing I want to make clear is I don't teach about going out and finding your soulmate or twin flame. Some people do. I don't believe that is right, because it's not everybody's path, for one thing. And certainly for a soul-to-soul connection at the level of twin flame, as I've discovered, it's on the 5th dimension. We live on the 3rd dimension. And the relationships that we know, everyday relationships for society as we know it, is on the 3rd dimension. A twin soul connection is on the 5th dimension. And you have to be ready for that. And it will find you when you're ready. Seriously, it finds you. So I do not believe that you can teach that. I think you can teach how you can get yourself ready for that, but not actually to go out and find it, so to speak.
So, Rachel, I have a question here before you dive in. So, is this for women who are looking? Is it for single women, or women in relationship can also use these tools that you will be sharing with us?
You can use them if you're in a relationship as well, because I do cover things like toxic. If you're in a toxic relationship, get out of it, that kind of thing. So yes, I mean, it is predominantly for women who maybe they've been divorced and they now want to find somebody, a special somebody. They've learned a lot from their divorce and what they don't want, and now it's what they do want. But there is always a process to go through, and you have to go through all of this process in order to get to that point, which is, I've kind of touched on it in my own story, so you will see it coming through because I've done it. And I've got as a tester, some of my closest friends who are single and wanting to find, I've actually gone through it with them, because they were like, well, how did you do it? And I said, okay, these are the steps. Some of them understood it so well because they were already therapists themselves. So they got what I was saying as to what they needed to do. The old paradigm of relationships is shifting. So there are a lot more soul-to-soul connections being made all over the planet. So it is possible that a lot more people will have these soul-to-soul connections, and it is very intense. So you do have to make yourself ready for it. If you're on a spiritual path, you'll already know quite a lot about this, and you'll all know about the shifts that are going on. But some people aren't on that path, or just learning about it. Everything I talk about, I have been through myself, and I've helped others to follow this strategy, as I said. So I do know that it does work. But like I said, there are variations within that. So, it's not word for word, you do X, Y, Z, because some of it you may have already done, or your people, your tribes might have already done. So you won't have to go through it. I do want to introduce the concept to people that people don't change. We use the word wrongly. I really strongly feel about this when we say, oh, I want that person to change. We don't change. People don't change. What happens is we each will awaken something different in somebody else. What's inside them, deep inside them. And that happened to me. I've had family members saying, gosh, you've changed. And it's like, no, actually, this was always inside me. I just didn't tap into it. I knew it was there. I knew there was something deeper. I knew there was something different. I knew there was something I wanted to bring out of me, but either I didn't know how, because I didn't have the tools, I didn't have the spirituality, I didn't have the background in it, etc. So it comes out naturally. We don't change as people. Our characters stay the same. So, but when we meet different people, we will bring out and raise different things in people. If you are correctly aligned, either mostly or fully, then you will raise the best in one another. And what happens, what I've discovered in my psychology, that most relationships are literally built, you know, the four things I said: intellectually, emotionally, spiritually, sexually. Most people only have two of those in common that are probably fully aligned. And that's the most common kind of relationship. A soulmate, you'll often find there are three in there. For the twin soul, the soul to soul, you will find four. All four, you are completely aligned. The fact that mine and I have got this fifth, the professional as well, that is something that most I've spoken to, most other twins have not got, but they are still with their twin. Because when you are more aligned with someone, it is a much more mature relationship, because it's so much easier. Also, understanding who you are. I mean, you really do have to do the inner work to be consciously aware and consciously awake. It was so natural to me. I didn't even tap into that, because people would sometimes say to me, well, you know so instinctively, and it was like, yeah, but I can't tell you how. But now, because I've learned how, I can actually tell them how. So it's becoming consciously aware and consciously awake. And once you've got that confident, authentic authenticity, you won't then need to suppress anything about yourself. And that's when the miracles happen, because a lot of relationships, unfortunately, we suppress things in us. In my marriage, I had to suppress, not so badly, but there were certain parts that I had to suppress and sort of keep. I couldn't be or express my true authentic self, because I was made to feel I was wrong or I was shamed. So, my own adventure has been through the pleasure tribe, bringing all of this out, and I came home to me. But what somebody else will go through might be something completely different. It'll be their own unique adventure as how they learn about who they really are. It might look something completely different to what I've been through, but it's still true to them nonetheless. So you don't have to necessarily go through what I've been through, the exact things. It's just finding out and tapping into who you are and bringing it out and saying, okay, I accept that part of me, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. So now I want your listeners to really tap into, this is about relationships, but sensuality and sexuality form a big part of relationships. There are a lot of coaches and people out there who will deal with one or another. Mm-hmm. I bring it all together, because it is all part of you and all part of a relationship.
Especially for women.
Exactly. But the thing that I have, if you know who you are and that is part of you, it is part of me. I always knew I was a sensual being. I dance and I just know that I've always known, but now it's come out even more. I've allowed it and brought it out even more. And started talking about it, and I indulge in it. I practice tantra and orgasmic meditation, and I talk about it as well. So that was a big shift for me to actually start talking about it. Never mind just wanting to do it and then doing it, but to actually say to other people, including men, men and women, this is what I'm doing, because it was, it's a big thing to do. It's a big step. And explore the sensuality and sexuality a little or a lot, because what is right for you is going to be completely different for somebody else. So it's a little or a lot, and you have the choice as to how much or how little you do. It really is a big deal in relationships. Sex in relationships is a big deal, and because of my work with men now, and it's all around love, sex, and romance, and it's very different for them. I can assure you that the vast majority of men, sex is a big deal, a big deal. So we need to take that on board too. When we're looking at relationships, the kind of person you want in your life, you need to know what you want in a partner. If you're not interested in sex, then don't go for somebody who is interested in sex, because I know that that causes huge amount of friction in a relationship. Huge. So I want you to, give yourself permission as much as anything to explore and play, because that was what I loved about being in the Pleasure Tribe. There was this group of women, and we could tell each other what we were feeling, what we were thinking, the most intimate thoughts, and what we wanted to do. And we could give ourselves permission to say, you know what, I want to practice this, or I want to do that. And there was no shame, no judgment, no guilt, nothing. It was just such a beautiful experience. And I think having been in that female tribe, it was amazing, because those of us who decided to try different things were the ones who were really encouraged and saying, oh my gosh, you are just amazing doing that. I want to do it. Not sure if I'm ready for it now, but I love hearing your experiences about it. So, and what's normal for you is normal for you. It doesn't matter. You may feel, oh my God, I'm really odd, or I shouldn't want this. No, it's normal for you. Whatever you're into, it doesn't matter. It is normal for you, and embrace your differences, because that is absolutely fine. If you feel different from the next person, don't compare yourself, because we are all unique and all individual, and how we feel and what we want to express in ourselves and etc. So there's nothing wrong with us. Any of us, there's nothing wrong. I was made to feel there was something wrong with me in my marriage, and I knew intuitively that there wasn't anything wrong with me, but I had to go through this process of finding out it was okay. It was actually okay to be a woman with a very high libido and enjoy sex. So the next thing I want you to look at is patterns, unresolved patterns. We all have them. We all have these patterns, and we all have unresolved issues that we go through, males and females alike, but this is for females. Identify yours. Now you can sometimes do this yourself. It can be literally looking in the mirror and going, I know what this pattern is. I'm always attracting a certain type of person. So when you can see that, but I've got the most amazing friends, and some of them are therapists, and it's great because they can also, they're not giving advice, but they can identify it as well and speak it back to you if you're not super clear, and you can suddenly go, you're absolutely right. That is what I'm doing. That is what I'm attracting. I've got to stop. And I went into healing. I had a wonderful healer, an energy healer, and you've got to eliminate it. You've just got to get it out of your system. There is lots and lots of different therapy out there, whatever works for you. It doesn't matter however long it takes. You've got to identify that pattern and get rid of it, get it out of your system. And if it means going back over traumas and things that have happened in your life, then you've got to do it. You've got to do the work, because otherwise you're just going to keep on attracting the wrong kind of partner, and it might get slightly better and slightly better and slightly better, but you'll keep on attracting the wrong kind of partner that's not completely right for you. So we want to try and fast up this process, if you like, to get all of that out of the way in order to be able to attract the partner that you want for life.
This is very interesting because, as you said, the fast track route, a lot of, this is the thing with a lot of women, that they just kind of keep the shame of being unsuccessful in a relationship within themselves, and that kind of like eats them inside. And as you said, you knew so much and you had to go to a healer, and I know that I have also been through so many healing sessions, and it's sometimes you need to be led by in someone else's hands, so you can just allow yourself the space to just surrender. I think it's good that a lot of us learn a lot of things online and educate ourselves online, but having certain teachers to work with is really a good fast track, and I can vouch for that too. I couldn't have that by myself.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was great. I mean, this guy, he's not a therapist. He's actually a chiropractor by trade, and I've seen all sorts of chiropractors and osteopaths, etc., for my sports injuries. So I was intrigued about this energy work that he was doing, and I didn't actually go to him initially for that. I went for something, allergies. I have allergies, and I went to see him about that. And he reads your energy. I mean, I was just blown away by what he did, because he just says, just stand there in front of me, and I'm going to breathe. And he said, I will deal with whatever comes up first. And that was it. And it was phenomenal. And I didn't tell him anything. He basically told me what the problem was, because he can read it in your body and get it out of you. And the beauty of the work with him is that it's a 30-minute session. And once it's done, it's done. It's absolutely done. And you cannot go back. Even if you wanted to, you cannot go back to that pattern. It is phenomenal. So I'm I think of him as a demigod. Like, I got half of what he did, because it was akin to some of the things that we used to do in sports injuries, but then there were other things that were like, he told me 2 points in my life, not only the age, but what the problem was. And I'm kid you not, I have never told anyone, not even my younger sister, who I tell everything to. I had never told anyone, because I just thought, over the years, I just thought, oh, well, it happened, it happened, so what, kind of thing, get on with your life. But it was deep inside me, and he got rid of it. And I mean, I was in tears. It was like, how would you even know that? How? I don't get how you could read that, the age and the problem. It was amazing. So you will find it might be Reiki for some people. It might be traditional counseling. I don't know. Everybody needs something different. So it's find that and then get that work done. And as I said earlier, if you are in a toxic relationship, just get out of it, especially whilst you're in healing and therapy, which is what I did, which was perfect, because you're altering your course, but they're not. So just get out of it. Mine, it was lucky we didn't live together, so it was easy. I could just end it, and I ended it completely forever. Give yourself then some loving time and space, because you need time to integrate all that you're learning, etc., and some time to heal as well and find yourself. As it's said time and time again, but people quite often don't, and love yourself, because there is nothing wrong with you, and you may have been made to feel there's something wrong with you, but there isn't anything wrong with you. So you do need to take time and keep doing the inner work, because I'm still doing some stuff on me. It's a lot less. Yeah. It never stops, and the learning and the integrate, and it never stops. Of course it doesn't. This is where people go wrong sometimes, but it is ongoing. And create the life you love and want for yourself. This is, you need to be a complete person. This is another thing that does get me when people say, you don't need anyone else. Actually, that is absolute BS. We all need someone. We need the human connection. That is what we're here on this planet for. We all need someone. We absolutely do, 100%. What you don't want is to be lacking something so badly that you're wanting to, I need to have somebody because I can't do this.
Or the validation.
Yeah, exactly. It's not it's not the needy, but we all need someone. Absolutely, 100%. So you don't give up just because, if you're doing things, you're having a great life, you don't give that up and relinquish that when you get into a relationship. You carry on. It is healthy to have separate lives, separate friends. You will have naturally joint things that you do together, joint friends. But if you don't have those things that you do by yourself and keep your own friends, and it's not about living the single life, but if you don't do that, it becomes unhealthy, because you're then, it does become the bad codependent as well, because you're always wanting that person around you. No, there's nothing wrong with creating that life and continuing that when you're in a relationship. And this thing about change, if you're in a relationship where you are being constantly asked to change in some way, or you're wanting somebody to change, then I'm telling you flatly, you're in the wrong relationship. That's it. You are in the wrong relationship. Get out of it. End it. That's simple. I will not move on that point, because somebody will love that other person and somebody will love you for what you are. So to try and change somebody because you want them to fit into a mold of what you want, you're in the wrong relationship. It's that simple. Understand and embrace the masculine and feminine within us, because we all have it within us. You know, some, and the degree can be quite different. Mine just happens to be a 50-50 split of masculine and feminine, as does my twin, naturally. Because when you're in a relationship, that ebb and flow of the masculine feminine works within the relationship as well, because sometimes, you know, he might need looking after, and so you naturally sort of, even in your feminine, can go into that, okay, I need to take over. So your masculine is taking over slightly, and there's nothing wrong with that. So it ebbs and flows within a relationship so that you can support one another. Be crystal clear, like I said, about the type of person you want in your life. And I'm not talking about appearance or, you know, you want them
much
to be
money they
excellent
have.
at all, how, you know, the job they have, how much money, etc., the type of car. It's not about that at all. It's so not about that, or the clothes they wear or anything. It is about values. And I can assure you, I wrote down everything that I felt was, you know, my values and what I could not, I had to tolerate, you know, I could not accept anything less in somebody else. He had to follow these, he had to be this type of person. Things like integrity, intelligence, honesty, for me, emotional maturity. I wrote that down because I've had emotionally immature men in my life. So I put emotional maturity. So somebody who's done the work on the spiritual path. And I even wrote down the sexual needs, somebody who's practicing Tantra or willing to, because that to me is it's absolute for me. I cannot go back to a normal sex life after this. So I actually wrote it down. What I didn't realize was that I do now, I was writing down myself. Hence I attracted that twin, because it is a mirror. But I didn't realize at the time what I was doing. But, you know, even things like, for me, I'm relocating abroad. So it had to be somebody who wants to do that. So all your life aspirations, if you're wanting certain things in your life and they are ingrained in your soul and you cannot compromise on that, then you must not compromise on that, because there'll always be, you might have to meet lots of people in order to find that person, but that person will be there for you. What else do I need to tell you? Yeah, I think I covered this earlier. You know, if you are not interested in sex, or it's just not your bag. Some people just want a relationship and they want companionship or friendship within that relationship. Please make that absolutely clear that that's not what you want, because it is so wrong. This is the biggest problem, far the biggest problem and cause of breakdowns in relationships, if you are not aligned in this department. It seriously is. I mean, thankfully, sometimes you can get aligned within, if you get the help that you need. But if one is definitely not interested and the other one is definitely interested, and you're both at opposite ends of the spectrum, somebody is having to really suppress their need, and it's not right. So no common interests. Forget that. You know, I'm a salsa dancer, and I've dated one or two with it. A lot of us have within the community, and I'm telling you, it very rarely works. Strangely, should do. It absolutely should do, but it doesn't. And again, I've come across this so many times when people say, "Oh, I'll join XYZ meetup group because I'll have common interests." And it's like it's so, oddly enough, it just doesn't work. Doesn't seem to work. It does occasionally.
There
I
are
will
things
say.
about polarity, you know, like that we have to allow polarity in our relationship as well. That's how we grow, isn't it?
It absolutely is. I mean, it's great if you do meet somebody who you are completely aligned with and you do happen to have common interests. You will have some naturally, but it's not, you know, the emphasis isn't on that. The emphasis is on values
Value.
and what you really can't, you cannot live without. You know, it is ingrained in your soul. You know, I could not be with somebody who just has a job and wants to stay in this country forever because I'm out of this country. You know, that is, and no, nothing and nobody is stopping me from doing that. So that's, you know, it's no point in me being with somebody who would want, even if we are aligned in many other ways, forget it. It's not worth it. Because that is not going to change. And that this is where so many people make the common mistakes. Oh, they'll change. Oh, they will, but eventually they will. No, they won't. Sorry. So to sort of sum this up, now that you're clear and you've written down and you've put it out into the universe, all I did was I'd been through all these processes, got so clear, and I just sort of put it out into the universe. What I realized was this beam of light was emanating in me and radiating out into the universe. I didn't have to go out there and say, okay, I'm going to join a dating site now, or I'm going to do this. I knew, and this is not to say don't do anything, because the action I took was actually getting all that I did to getting to that point. And I knew I'd meet someone. I didn't know where, when, how, but I didn't need to go out there and think, okay, I've got to join this, I've got to do that, I've got to do the other. It was just, I put it out there and just went about my life as normal. And I knew that person that would be right for me would lock on to my beam and find me. And I'd equally be locking on to his too and find him. It would happen. I just knew from all that I'd been through, I knew that would happen. And I just got, you know, as I say, just got on with my life, and I'm confident in what I was doing, no problem. And even friends were saying, something shifted in you, something has changed in you. And I don't know what. And again, at that time was, I said, I'm not ready to even share this yet, because I'm still not sure about what's going on inside. I just know that this is the right path for me. You know, I will keep you posted on this one. And I literally, you're at that point, you're in the right frame of body, mind, spirit once you've done all of these things. And yeah, it was funny because the following year he found me. And it was one of those connections that was just like, this is home. Oh my gosh, it really does work. It really does work. And I can tell you that your life partner will never come in the package that you expect them to.
Yes.
At all. Never. And that's the interesting key, because I've done it in the past where I've written down, you know, I want him to be 6 foot tall. I want him to be this. I love the combination of dark hair, blue eyes. I absolutely love that. You know, like the Piers Brosnan type. I absolutely love that. I've more often than not been with fair-haired, fair-skinned, blue-eyed men. I've very rarely had the dark, and I actually do like dark skin. But again, you know, the Will Smith. If I was doing my ideal, Will Smith, something. But you can't. That is completely irrelevant, and it doesn't actually work. So just be prepared for that. It will never come in the package that you expected at all, but they will be so right for you. So just, I think my final words are: be consciously aware, trust your intuition, and never deviate from your core values to fit somebody else's, because it will go horribly wrong if you do. You know, there are certain things we can all say, you know what, it doesn't matter if he wears clothes that I don't particularly like, it's him I love. You know, those kinds of things don't matter. To some people, they might matter a lot. That might be they've got to dress a certain way. Quite frankly, I think, well, you know, if the person is right, all of those little things, how they eat, you know, the way they dress, etc., they don't matter, because you love that person to the core. And sadly, a lot of relationships, because they haven't gone through this process. We don't teach this kind of thing. We should teach it more, especially to younger people, because once you get into understanding all of these different things, you will have a better chance of attracting the right person, because it's the reason so many, sadly, relationships end and marriages fail is because they haven't chosen the right person in the first place. They're just, they're attracted to them. We can all be attracted to many people, but that doesn't mean to say that person is going to be right for us as a life partner at all. And that's where all these horrible little things become, these little niggles become huge issues in a relationship. And that's very sad. So really, that's it, Janita.
it's in the end, I think it's all about us doing the inner work of, we have to first identify our own values, because I think not many of us even know that. Not many of us know what our core values are, and then we just go attracting the wrong partners and henceforth.
And it does take time as well. I mean, gosh, some people find it earlier on, but it's taken me a long time. I think if you're young and on a spiritual path, it might help. But I came to it, even though I was spiritual in myself, I came to the actual teachings, if you like, and understanding it later in life. So maybe that's why it's taken me longer. I would hope that some people, I can help them so that they can have this for a longer time in their life. But I wouldn't say I would change a thing, to be honest. Even though I've been through some really tough times, I wouldn't change a thing, because it's actually made me the person I am today. And I'm very happy with where I'm at. But and it still goes on. There are, we all will find something, or we might get triggered and think you've dealt with something, and then somebody else, and you go, oh my gosh, there's that silly thing coming up again. So it is constant. But that's accepting that you don't get to a point and it's like, okay, all done. Put it all to bed. Yeah, I've got it all. I can carry on with my life. It doesn't work that way. Life doesn't work that way, because we're all evolving. And the thing is, if you're aligned with the right type of person, you'll evolve at the same kind of rate together, which is fantastic. And whatever you both choose to do, even if you might deviate slightly from each other's path, you will still be going on the same path together. You'll still be supporting one another. It won't be, oh, you're doing something completely different, you never said you wanted to do it. It will be accepted because you are aligned with that person. So it makes it so much easier as you go forward.
Amazing. As we're coming to the end of our conversation, Rachel, I know that you have an amazing gift for the women as well. Would you like to share about it?
Amazing gift. Oh, yes. Well, this is only the tip of the iceberg of what we've covered here. So I always offer anyone a 45-minute complimentary discovery session with me, so that we can identify exactly what they need from me, whether it might be purely on the relationship side, it might be on the sensuality and sexuality, but it might be a combination of all of it. And I have multi-dimensional courses that are about the body and the mind, body, spirit, the whole lot. So they do cover, and they do all fit in together. But really just have a look on my website, thewisdommentor.org /divine feminine wisdom. That's the one you want to have a look at, and we can go from there. So and there is a lot more. That this is only one small part of it, because we can go into things like the love languages that I know emasculating men. Some women do that and they don't realize they're doing it. That's why they're not getting from their relationships what they want, what men want, because obviously now I'm working with males as well. And what they crave, the masculine and feminine energy, pleasure, body image, all of that kind of stuff, and dance, divine feminine. So there's so much more on my website that we cover within all of this. So this was just purely about looking at, I'm not sure if I said it right at the beginning, I might have missed it. When you when we say calling in the one, it isn't about calling in somebody else. The one is you.
Mm.
There is a book, it is called Calling in the One. I think it's Catherine Woodward
Catherine
Thomas, isn't
Woodward,
it?
yes, yeah.
Yeah, she's amazing. And I was in a meetup group, and the girls were going to read that book, and a lot of them didn't realize. I said, you do realize that is about you. Calling in the one is you. So that's why, you know, I've said calling in your life partner, but you have to call in yourself first before you can call in your life partner.
Yes, absolutely. So, Rachel, I've asked this question to every single guide in this online temple. What does rising feminine mean to you?
Well, it's having been in the pleasure tribe, what I have seen around the world is this feminine energy that is rising. But it's not just within the females, as a lot of people think. It is within the males as well, and we are bringing them with us. So it is that beautiful feminine energy that is, yes, of course it is within us females, but it is within our beautiful males as well. So, and it is rising around the world. There is definitely a shift in what's going on right now. And I love it in my twin. The feminine, he never uses the word think. He always says, I feel, I feel, I feel. And to have a man that says, I feel, is
Wow.
just amazing. It just completely, and he's always saying, you don't realize I completely get this, what you're talking about. And it's so good. You know, I can tell him anything. And, you know, he just takes it all on board. The masculine there, he's just letting me flow and takes it all on board. But I love the word that he actually uses, the word feel. And the feminine in him is just adorable. As well as the masculine. Oh boy. That bit I love. The masculine of him. Oh gosh, yeah. And you know, I mean, that's another thing I talk about. It's embrace and enjoy the difference in the sexes. Because we do behave differently, and it's beautiful. I love it.
That's true. Thank you so much for your time, Rachel, and for your
You're
generosity,
welcome.
for this offering, and for the amazing gift.
Thank you very
And
much. Thank you for this. It has been a gift being on this beautiful journey with you.
yeah, and thank you for sharing so much of your personal stuff, which is, I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that.
I'm sure they can.
Thank you.
Thank you.